Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think I'll sound the gavel just to make it official.
Yay.
All right, then, we'll do Matt right now. Roll call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Bartlett.
Here.
Mrs. Brown Knight. Dr. Lewis.
I am here.
We're glad to see you.
I'd rather be on vacation still, but.
Mr. Van Stone. Mr. York.
Here.
All right. All right, I need a motion and a second to excuse Matt, please.
So moved.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight. Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone. Mr. York.
Aye.
All right. Excused. All right, any questions regarding the minutes from last meeting?
What's up, Ed?
That would be February the 24th meeting? Is that what it was? All right, hearing no questions, a motion and a second to accept.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone. Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, accept those minutes. All right, we have in communications, we have Assistant Fire Chief Dan Copeland's report. Although it looks like Jim put the most of it out. Did you do the work on this?
It was a
Joint effort?
group effort.
All right, well, looked good. Any questions regarding this report?
What's this?
Sure.
You, in the report, it says, almost $100,000 was turned back to the village. And I guess I'm gonna ask Kelly, when that's turned over to the village, does that end up in the general fund?
Well, I mean, we get it from a variety of, well, the med account being the biggest one. So when you say $100,000, are there other sources that you're referring to, or is it mostly med account? Okay, so yes, it goes into the, it does go back into the general fund.
And so,
It goes to the safety services fund, right? The ambulance fees go to the
Oh.
safety services fund.
So it's just ambulance that med account reimburses us for, the ambulance runs? Okay.
So that goes to
So, yeah.
safety services, which
Yeah,
is
to-
solely for the fire department
Yeah.
and medics.
But then the bulk,
Not safety.
Safety services, paramedic fund,
Paramedic
yeah,
fund.
it
safety
all
service,
goes
yeah.
there or some
Yeah.
goes to?
No, all
I'll
the
let-
ambulance fees go into the paramedic fund.
Okay.
is that right?
Yes.
No, Bob, I'm making it up.
She's the
29
fiscal officer, so.
2903.
All right. we got
Not
it
you.
worked out. Okay. Any other questions regarding that then? No?
Well done.
All right, then the maintenance department's monthly report, and it's not here, but any questions well, does anybody have any questions? I'd be happy to answer. No? All right. All right, Mr. Barlow's tax administrator report. Questions on that one? I think it's kind of straightforward this time. Got questions? You can email Chuck or call. All right, now for the big one. Mr. Holloway's building department report. Looks like we're significantly down for the month of February.
What the heck?
I know the reason why, but if you would like to explain.
Yeah, well, January was a record revenue and activity month for sure. February slowed down. Also, probably didn't spend as much time on compliance issues because just for information, about a third of all the permits we issue are from people that didn't file for permits. So when I don't walk around and do stuff, the permit activity does go down as well. So I think between the cold February, me not walking around with the dog, and January being so good were probably the reasons why.
Would you like to make a comment on the meeting that the two of us had with CMC regarding their compliance with the rental inspections?
Yeah, so I know it came up in a few previous council meetings about what's going on with the rental activity because it's kind of petered out. And we worked with Mr. McTighe to draft a letter and for two companies, two of the larger companies in the village who had filed 0 rental certificates. There was an immediate response from one of the 2 parties. We sat down with CMC last week, and I think we have at least they communicated we have a path forward. It's probably going to be slightly past our timeline, but the idea of being able to get 100% compliance of all the units in October, we thought was a pretty good compromise considering we're at 0 today. So technically, probably in the June timeframe, they'd be out of compliance, but if we could avoid a big messy lawsuit and any concerns and get to 100% compliance, we think that's going to be a good win for the village. So thanks for Bill and Ed and supporting that.
The spirit, the tone of the conversation was positive.
Yep.
And I guess it's kind of a wait and see kind of a thing.
Yep.
But they are not the only ones who are having compliance issues. And I think other follow-up conversations may be in order.
Yep.
Yes.
Mr. McTighe, you haven't heard from this
have
other
not.
party,
No,
have you?
which-
Okay.
Frankly, I'm a little bit surprised that I have not, to be honest with you, but
He may
I'll
not,
follow
he
up
may
with
not have received his mail yet.
So Ed, you were there and you reviewed all this and what we're doing is appropriate?
Well, he was
Oh,
not there.
I was not at the
But
meeting,
you
no.
reviewed,
But I'm well aware of what they talked
Okay.
about, and what they decided. Yeah, I think it's great that they're doing this.
is it?
And keep in mind that a lot of
Do you
these
need-
people have thumbed their nose at us for the last many, many
Can you
years.
talk into your mic?
Oh, sorry. I'm not really saying anything that important anyway,
Not
but
really.
nevertheless, thank you.
Yeah, so now at least we got their attention. I think that's a great thing.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
what is the plan if well, 2 questions, and it could be just we don't have one yet, that's okay. But what is the plan if we don't get a response from the second company?
If we don't get started, we'll start issuing citations.
Okay, and then in October, if, given that we have been very generous with the timeline for this other company, we will start issuing citations if somehow they have additional delays.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation.
I think, Rod, did they not commit to at least start paying the permit fees early on, at least by June?
They said if there's vacancies in units prior to their October normal inspection window, that they would file those, I'd say, in advance of the October melee.
Yeah, and what did we talk, there's over $4,500 worth of permit fees
Yeah, total
themselves.
cost, yeah. They-
So I think if they start chipping away at that, that's a pretty good indication that they're gonna follow through with what they're supposed to follow through with, I think.
Yep.
Don't you agree?
Well, I mean, like I said, the tone and the mood was positive, but we'll see. Yeah.
Just so I understand, I think CMC and put it aside because you have, sounds like a working arrangement with them. On these other people, are you gonna start, actions in June?
Yeah, well, we're going after probably 2 of the top 5. So we're hoping there's some good word of mouth out there with that community that starts to say the village is getting serious. We haven't issued letters beyond those 2 companies yet, but there are some diminishing returns. The other 6 or 7 that probably have more than 10 units, we've had success in every one of those to some degree. We've had 100% compliance in like the second largest company, Harlan. We've had good compliance with Brad Bauer's properties. We've had decent compliance with John Miracle's properties.
Mostly, yeah,
Mostly.
yeah.
The line arts have some property that's 100% compliant.
On the number 2 guy, if he doesn't respond to this letter, will you and Mr. McTighe start action in
Yeah,
June then?
I'll probably contact them again, because, even in answering Susan's question, we're very hesitant to issue citations to people. We like to work with them as best we can. And what we tell everyone in our mayor's court when they get on like a payment plan with us, you show us that you care about what we need, and we'll show you that we care about you. Sure. So with these property owners, once they start coming to Rod and telling him, hey, we're willing to work with you, we're gonna work with you, if they say, give me a month to do it, generally, we'll do stuff like that.
I understand that, but I was thinking, if you get 0 response, you'll start action in June?
Yeah, we will.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clear up.
Thank you, Bob. for that.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
That was your question, right?
All right, permission to address council. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak? Yes, Mrs. Munger, you want to please state your name?
Will do. If you'd be so kind as to pass those down, pass these down as well. That's a copy of what I'm about to say with a map on the back. I'm Joyce Monger, a Mariemont resident for 45 years. I live at 3923 East Street, and I'm here to discuss the possible road closure on Rowan Hills Drive just south of Cambridge Avenue, as a test is to be started at the end of the month. I'm unclear how these tests will be evaluated and interpreted. Your communiques of today say the Safety Committee will deliberate concerning results and comments in a public meeting. From there, the Safety Committee will make a recommendation for consideration to full council. Subjective feedback was already given on this topic. The survey taken at the meeting, which included this topic and was published by the village, showed that only 21% of the people thought the closure was a good idea. 30% of the respondents were outright against the idea, and 41% thought there were better alternatives. In all, 71% responded negatively to this idea, and yet we are proceeding. Proceeding because, and I quote the minutes from the January 27th meeting that was here, based on citizen input. But that's not the citizen input that you disseminated to the community. The minutes go on to say some other things which I've detailed in my notes, but I'm going to skip over those and say, I find no discussion on how we will weigh and evaluate the unintended consequences that you suggest. I imagine it's going to have to be subjective. How are we measuring effect and impact? Direct measurement of altered traffic flow patterns sounds reasonable, but are we measuring impact on all affected streets? Increased traffic on other routes as drivers go north on Miami to Bramble Hills and south to East Street on Thorndike? This closure creates more problems, and instead of spreading out the traffic on various routes, it squeezes traffic into fewer options. Perhaps Worcester Pike will get traffic as well, but how will we know? We cannot measure accurately the effects to all of the streets that will bear the burden, and I see no indication of signage that we are suggesting traffic reroute to major arteries. Additionally, how long will it really take drivers to adjust to the new traffic pattern? When will we accurately really know the real impact? Haynes, Lytle Woods, and the southern part of Rowan Hills will benefit, a small area compared to the overall effect on many streets. In addition, there are some intersections that will become much more dangerous, especially near the parking lot north of the town square. This area is pedestrian-rich and has 2 blind curves. The handout is a visual representation of my concerns. You can see that on the map on the back. In addition, the character of the village will be impacted. We have a responsibility to preserve our community as it was originally designed. Artificial dead ends are isolating and distract from the charm and accessibility of our village. Residents who are now advocating for this change should have understood the traffic when they purchased their homes. This plan benefits a few and burdens many. I encourage this council to be clearer and data-driven, putting their stewardships to the residents first. Thank you.
Well, Mrs. Munger, I can respond to some of that.
I'm happy to listen.
We will be conducting traffic counts before and after the experiment. We're not going to announce when those are going to happen because we would like them to sort of be blind studies, so to speak.
Absolutely.
We were also going to do a traffic count on East Street, to pick up, what might be an alternative, route for some of this traffic, kind of a thing. I think the part of the point of doing the experiment, though, it's hard to conjecture exactly what the reaction and the comments are going to be, until you actually do something. And the experiment was only going to run for 30 days, to try and allow for enough time, to your point, for people to adjust and find, what those alternate routes might be, kind of a thing. So, we do want to be data-driven. This is just not something that we're sort of, pulling out of the air, so to speak. We want to have enough resident comment on this to try and do an evaluation. And then I must say also, I'm not really sure in terms of these other comments that you may be referring to. I think resident comments are going to be more highly valued than possibly individuals who don't live in this village and are merely cutting through, diminishing, the quality of life for those who live on some of the cut-through streets.
I would hope that would be the case, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not, I wasn't suggesting otherwise.
Okay, well, I just wasn't
Right.
wasn't clear.
But being a person that drives around that East Street corridor all of the time, those two curves, if we're not looking at what's happening, and, I asked Officer Hines, Police Chief Hines, do we have accidents at these intersections? I mean, what's the safety like now at these places? Because if we have no accidents now and we have no accidents later, how can we say that it's safe or not safe? I mean, I drive around there all the time and I can't tell you how many times somebody is in the middle of the road and I'm putting my brakes on.
Want me to respond?
Please.
Yeah, I can't tell you that we have a lot of accidents in those intersections because we don't.
But we do have a lot of congestion, and we have near misses, I think is what you're describing.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, I mean, obviously, the objective is just not to shift traffic out of one area and then burden somebody else. I mean, if it turns out that that's, what the experiment demonstrates to us, then yeah, I mean, there would be a sort of a fallback or a pullback in the opinion as to whether this really is a good idea. Yeah.
And so you'll do another survey and will you tally the results?
Of course.
Yeah, there'll be another public meeting, Joyce.
And there will be a
There'll
public
another
meeting as well.
For people to be able to come and provide their input and to see the results and everything as well,
Right.
the numbers and everything that come out of this.
Might you understand how, when I saw the results from the last public meeting, I thought I might as well not have attended, because even though the results said one thing, you did something else?
Well, we still feel it's important to go ahead and run the experiment. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
just like you said, Joyce, we want to be data-based, right? So that's the goal, is to be as data-based as possible, to share, as Bill is pointing out, to share it as in advance for residents so they can get input on the front end, see the results, provide input on the back end. So,
running the experiment, basically, as Rob is trying to say, provides us with even more data. I mean, if we don't run the experiment, then we're just sort of have hearsay opinion from those who are simply passing through the village and then those who live in the village. And
I'm not sure where I read this, because I read a lot of different things, but I did understand that to evaluate East Street was going to cost an additional $1,500, so we weren't doing that. I did read that somewhere.
we did get a price to do that. And it was my understanding, the last that I heard, that we were doing it.
Okay, we could check on
I
that
mean,
perhaps.
Chris, I mean,
I heard Matt say, because I raised the question about East Street,
uh-huh.
because they were gonna evaluate the road and hill, and that was an expense of $1,500. And it wasn't clear what he was gonna do about East Street.
Have we made a decision? Am I under the wrong impression here?
I understand that East Street's gonna be surveyed as well.
Yeah, that was,
Okay, that isn't the.
yeah.
I can understand how she reached the conclusion based on what Matt said.
And one other question for you. Do we have evidence that 30 days is enough time to truly evaluate what's going on here?
No, I have, I've never seen one of these experiments done, sorry, I was trying to get the microphone.
Yeah.
I've never seen one of these experiments performed before, so 30 days is.
but it's the engineers recommended that, right?
Yeah.
Or is
Choice
it
One.
Choice One who's doing it, or is it?
Yeah.
Who's doing, is it Choice One or is it?
Choice One.
Okay. So, I mean, we are sort of deferring to the experts in that sense, to say, is that a reasonable time?
I mean, if you would like us to run it longer,
You know what, I'm not suggesting that you do one thing or another. I'm just suggesting that there needs to be a way for us to get real data and real, and the opinions of the people that are affected by it.
sure.
And not just the opinions of people that happen to show up in a room. And I don't know how to do that. That's not my area of expertise. But I challenge you to.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else? No? All right, have everybody looked over the bills? Any questions regarding the bills? No?
No.
Motion and a second to pay the bills?
So moved.
Sec,
Second. Mr. Bartlett?
aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, let's pay some bills. All right, we have no committee reports this evening. So in miscellaneous, the, excuse me, the Outstanding Citizens Award nominations are due like
Thursday.
Thursday at the latest, something like that. So, any thoughts that you may have on that? Let's get those in. Are they coming in? We're getting some in, right? Okay, all right. All right, then, moving on to resolutions. I think once again, we have the Parks Board nominations, and I believe we're going to group these by term.
Correct.
Am I correct? Yes?
Okay.
All right.
All right, this is a third reading to appoint Jim Getz, Leah Sullivan, Jerry Stevens, Carolyn Hull as a member of the Parks Advisory Board for the calendar year of 2025 and 2026.
All right, that was the third reading, so a motion and a second to go ahead and pass.
So moved.
Second.
That was an enthusiastic nomination, I might say. Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone?
Aye.
And Mr. York?
Aye.
All right. All right, the second batch?
Okay, this is a third reading to appoint Tom Eckhart, Greg Wells, John McElrath, and Kyle Gropog as a member of the Parks Advisory, Mike Senderman and Frank Marzullo as a member of the Parks Advisory Board for calendar year 2025.
All right, again, this is the third reading, a motion and a second to pass.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Enough.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, this is a third reading to confirm the reappointment of Christopher M. Ertl as village engineer for calendar years 2025 and 2026, and to set compensation.
All right, motion and a second to appoint Mr. Ertl, who, by the way, is doing a fantastic job for us.
Second. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight?
Enthusiastic
Dr.
aye.
Aye.
All right, Dr. Lewis?
I said aye.
Aye. Mr. Van Stone?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, you're on, Chris.
Okay.
Run
This is a
now.
third reading to confirm the reappointment of village zoning officer Rod Holloway for calendar year 2025 and to set compensation.
All right. You heard me last meeting. I think I went a little overboard with the kudos there, but I meant every one of them. So a good motion and a second to get Rod back on.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight,
Very enthusiastic aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Very, very enthusiastic.
Mr. Van Stone,
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, this is a third reading to confirm the reappointment of Kelly I. Rankin as village fiscal officer and to establish pay rate.
All right. And I must say Kelly's really growing into this role and really upping her game on
Kelly's
this.
really growing.
Yeah, she's really growing. She's really growing. Yeah. And Lord knows she can use an inch or two. Mr. Bartlett?
Well, we didn't
Kelly.
first and second, though, did we?
We
So
need a
moved.
motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
See, I was doing all that talking. I thought you all slipped it in on me.
Aye.
All right, Ms. Brown Knight,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, this is a second reading to confirm the reappointment of Michael Lockhart as swim pool manager for calendar years 2024 and 2025, and to set compensation.
All right, that's the second reading. We'll have the third reading next time.
All right, this is a second reading to set forth,
Wait, it says 24.
it's probably what he was.
Okay. I don't
It's
want to
just
make
a-
him have a
it's-
do-over.
No, it's just to change the pay rate.
Yeah.
Oh,
To
okay.
set forth building fee schedule to be utilized by the Village of Mariemont Building Department. It's a second reading.
Second reading, yes, we'll have the third reading next time.
Okay, All right, this is a first reading, supplemental appropriations, and to declare emergency.
All right, you've heard the first reading. I need a motion and a second to suspend the rules and allow for the second and third reading.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone? Mr. York?
Aye.
May we have the second reading, please?
Supplemental appropriations and to declare emergency.
All right, Kelly, you have anything to discuss or to tell us?
This is just to appropriate the additional donation we got this year for the wading pool, that 14,000 that you brought in. So we have to appropriate it so that we can spend it on the pool.
Okay, all right, sounds good, sounds good. Maybe we have third reading.
But
then,
it's
please.
not costing the village any money per se. It's all donation.
This 14,000 is donations.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And the work is proceeding down there quite well. I can,
I
Yeah.
know, I've
Yes,
seen the
yeah.
pictures.
okay,
All right,
It's good. It's all good.
yeah.
supplemental appropriations and to declare emergency.
All right, I need a motion and a second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, I need a motion and a second to evoke the emergency clause, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone?
Aye.
And Mr. York?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, this is a third reading to revise section 37.03 of the Mariemont Code of Ordinances, Parks Advisory Board.
All right, that's the third reading. A motion and a second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
Okay, this is a third reading to amend ordinance 01124 of the Mariemont Code of Ordinances to increase payment for employees.
All right, third reading. A motion and a second to adopt, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Van Stone? Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, last one. Last one's coming up.
This is a second reading to repeal ordinance number 0324 pertaining to maximum pay rates for all grades of recreation employees and to enact new legislation pertaining to maximum pay rates for all grades of recreation employees.
All right, that's the second reading. We will have the third reading next. Council.
Joni, I think probably it's about time to put the healthcare stuff into the finance committee, because it's, what's it, April is when it starts to be available?
Yeah, they'll have the meeting the end of April.
Yeah, so do you just want to go ahead and just put it
Sure.
into the
Put that
finance
in.
committee, so it's already in there? And then the second thing is, I wanted to say thank you to the Mariemont boys varsity tennis team, not this past weekend, the weekend before that. They showed up and they helped to get the whole tennis courts all ready and everything. They did a great job helping us out. We would not have been able to took 4 hours, but there were probably like about 12 of us working on it. They accounted for 8 of them. So there's no way we would have gotten it done without their help. So I really wanted to say thank you to the boys tennis team for showing up and helping out.
And those guys, I'll add to that too, because I drove past there. The weather was not the best weather to be doing that
No.
in. Yeah,
My
it was
hands were
cold and
numb.
windy.
And very
Yeah.
windy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you power wash?
Huh? No, we didn't have power wash.
So,
But we blew off the courts and everything else. But we had to get down the windscreens and get up the nets
yep,
and
yep.
everything else, so. And actually, we had somebody who was in there cleaning by hand the bathrooms and stuff like that too,
Okay.
so.
that's
All
awesome.
right.
Then we need to talk about that.
I also just want to say, Joyce, I do live in the impacted area, so, so I will be able to bring that perspective when the assessment is done. So I don't know if that's helpful, but.
Yeah. Yeah. I live up there as well, so I mean, it's going to impact me. Yeah.
No, it's
so.
not.
All right, are we done?
Yes.
Oh, well, sorry, Chief's
Just a
got one
little,
more thing.
an update on the flock cameras. Lieutenant Pitsley is heading that up with the flock people, and they should be coming out here soon to install those. So hopefully in the near future here, next month or so, we should be up and running.
And how are we doing on break-ins, car break-ins?
Knock on wood, we've not had any for about 3 weeks. So
How many cameras, chief?
6.
And Okay.
in various different locations of the building.
I won't ask you to
And
right
we're gonna
now.
track how many how many hits each one of those
Oh, yeah.
cameras gets, right? So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that'd be great to have that kind of data to show the value they provide.
That's all I got.
All right, good meeting. We're adjourned.
You're off.
For Joni?
And I asked
What
a
were,
question.
what did
See,
you
I told I
say?
would.